Welcome to Civil Coursify. Download the Android app and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to get instant access for all the videos. Also follow us on Facebook as well as Telegram. This video has 4 parts. First, we'll look at Article 370 and then Article 35A. Third, we'll understand the reasons why they should be abolished. And last, we'll look at the way forward. Alright, let's begin. Following the accession of Jammu and Kashmir to the Indian Union on 26th of October 1947, the Maharaja of Kashmir ceded control over defence, external affairs and communications to the Government of India. Article 370 of the Indian Constitution and the Constitutional Order of 1950 formalized this relationship. Now the discussion for furthering this relationship between the state of J&K and the Union of India continued, culminating in the 1952 Delhi Agreement, whereby the governments of the state of J&K and the Union of India agreed that the Indian citizenship would be extended to all the residents of the state, but the state would be empowered to legislate over the rights and privileges of the state subjects, who would now be called permanent residents. Following the adoption of the provisions of the Delhi Agreement by the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, the President of India issued the Constitution Application to Jammu and Kashmir Order of 1954, through which Indian citizenship was extended to the residents of the state, and simultaneously the Article 35A was inserted into the Indian Constitution, enabling the state legislature to define the privileges of the permanent residents. Now let us look at Article 370 first. The state of Jammu and Kashmir's original accession, like all other princely states, was on 3 matters: defense, foreign affairs and communications. All the princely states were invited to send representatives to India's Constituent Assembly, which was formulating a constitution for the entire country. They were also encouraged to set up constituent assemblies for their own states. Most states were unable to set up assemblies in time, but a few states did, in particular Saurashtra Union, Travancore, Cochin and Mysore. Even though these states developed a model constitution for themselves, in May 1949, the rulers and chief ministers of all the states met and agreed that separate constitutions for the states were not necessary. These states accepted the Constitution of India as their own constitution. The states that did elect constituent assemblies suggested a few amendments which were accepted. Now, in the case of Jammu and Kashmir, the representatives to the Constituent Assembly requested that only those provisions of the Indian Constitution that corresponded to the original instrument of accession should be applied to the state. Accordingly, the Article 370 was incorporated into the Indian Constitution, which stipulated that the other articles of the Constitution that gave powers to the central government would be applied to the state of Jammu and Kashmir only with the concurrence of the state's Constituent Assembly. Now this was a temporary provision such that its applicability was intended to last till the formulation and adoption of the state's constitution. However, the state's Constituent Assembly dissolved itself on 25th of January 1957 without recommending either abrogation or amendment of the Article 370. Thus, the article has become a permanent feature of the Indian Constitution as confirmed by various rulings of the Supreme Court of India and the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir, the latest of which was in October 2015. Now let us look at Article 35A. Article 35A of the Indian Constitution empowers the state legislature of Jammu and Kashmir to define permanent residents of the state and provide special rights and privileges to those permanent residents. This article was added to the Constitution on the 14th of May 1954 through a presidential order, that is the Constitution Application to Jammu and Kashmir Order of 1954, issued by the President of India in exercise of the powers conferred by Clause 1 of Article 370 of the Constitution with the concurrence of the Government of State of Jammu and Kashmir. The article refers to the special powers enjoyed by the Jammu and Kashmir legislature in defining permanent residents of the state. Those who are deemed non-residents under this provision are disallowed from buying property, settling down, seeking state government jobs and aids, college admissions or scholarships. Some of the clauses that flow from the article are gender discriminatory and are against the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. In other words, Article 35A reinforces the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, which has framed its relationship with the rest of the country under a host of special provisions, such as Article 370, Delhi Agreement of 1952, and is the only Indian state to possess its own constitution, drawn up in 1956, which defines permanent residents as all persons born or settled within the state before 1911 or after having lawfully acquired immovable property resident in the state for not less than 10 years prior to that date. All immigrants from Jammu and Kashmir, including those who migrated to Pakistan, are considered state subjects. The descendants of immigrants are considered state subjects for 2 generations. Now, this has given rise to peculiar possibilities whereby a Pakistani citizen can buy property and settle in Kashmir, a provision denied to many Indian citizens. The rules discriminate against Kashmiri women by restricting their choice of partners in marriage. If the husband doesn't hold a permanent resident certificate, their children are denied subsequent rights. The non-state subjects, that is, those who are citizens of India and live in Jammu and Kashmir by virtue of Article 35A, are not entitled to the protection of Article 14 of Equality, Article 15 of Prohibition of Discrimination on basis of religion, race, caste, or place of birth, Article 16 of Equality of Opportunity in matters of public employment and reservations, the fundamental rights under Article 19, including the right to free speech, and the right to life and liberty under Article 21. Now this brings us to the question of why should they be abolished? It is argued that Article 35A was not added to the Constitution by following the procedure prescribed for the amendment of the Constitution of India under Article 368. Article 370 does not anywhere allow the President to exercise legislative or executive powers so vast that he can amend the Constitution or perform the function of the Parliament. Article 35A was enacted by the executive organ when actually the right of amendment of the Constitution lies with the legislative organ. The refugees from West Pakistan during partition who are now Indian citizens and live in J&K should have the rights and privileges same as permanent residents of Jammu and Kashmir. It facilitates the violation of the right to women to marry a man of her choice by not giving the heir any right to property if the woman marries a man not holding permanent resident certificate. The industrial sector and whole private sector suffers due to the property ownership restrictions. Good doctors don't come to the state for the same reason. Children of non-state subjects don't get admissions to state colleges. Now what should be the way forward? Various historians have argued that questioning the validity of Article 35A has no bearing on the rights of state subjects. Nor can the Presidential Order of 1954 be questioned without questioning the validity of other provisions of the Indian Constitution it extended to J&K. While it is a valid legal argument, this position prevents a satisfactory political resolution to the Kashmir problem. The time has come to confront the Kashmir reality by holding a larger deliberation on the validity of Article 370 itself. In fact, any debate on the validity of Article 35A must necessarily include the larger debate over Article 370, which in the guise of special status has remained the biggest obstacle towards integrating the state with India and normalizing its relationship with the rest of the country by way of being a discriminatory and oppressive provision. It is imperative that the debate be held right now because Jammu and Kashmir is not just a political problem, it is also equally a security issue that has grave implications for India's sovereignty. Given the animus that defines our ties with Pakistan and the downfall of bilateral relations with China, both these countries have the resources, motivation, and will to exploit India's festering political wound. China has violated One India policy and has built roads as part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project through Gilgit-Baltistan. And recent reports suggest that it is ready to fund 12 to 14 billion dollars for the Daimar Basha Mega Dam project in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which even the World Bank or Asian Development Bank refused to touch given Indian reservations. Nudged by China, Pakistan has duly agreed to declare POK as its fifth province and legitimize its hold over a territory claimed by India. A greater integration is simply not possible unless Jammu and Kashmir is considered as just another Indian state. The debate must start from that assumption. Finally, the ultimate aim should be to build a unified and peaceful India built on the pillars of brotherhood, equality, and development for all. So this is it for this video. The PDF notes for this video are available on the Civil Coursify Android app for free. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, download the Civil Coursify Android app, and follow us on Facebook and Telegram. Links are available in the description as well as comment section. Till then, thank you and take care.